The desert winds of Qatar often bring sand and dust, but for Lewis Hamilton, the 2024 Grand Prix brought something far more unsettling, a catastrophic collapse in performance that has sent shockwaves through the Formula One paddock. What initially appeared to be a driver struggling on a notoriously difficult circuit has in fact been revealed by internal FIA investigations to be a deeply rooted mechanical malady within the Ferrari SF25 itself. This isn't just about a bad weekend, it's about a hidden flaw that has plagued Hamilton's season, now starkly exposed under the unforgiving floodlights of Lusail. Shocking new evidence has come to light, detailing the SF25's systemic issues and Ferrari's season-long struggles, a direct consequence of a decision to halt crucial development much earlier than their rivals. The data tells a story of a car that simply wasn't fit for purpose. Hamilton's Q1 elimination, finishing a dismal 18th, was a truly unprecedented event for a driver of his caliber, particularly when his fastest lap was among the slowest recorded. His teammate, Charles Leclerc, fared only marginally better, scraping into Q3 but ending up 10th, a staggering 1.5 seconds off the pole position pace. This immediate disparity, or rather lack of it, between two top-tier drivers instantly signalled that Ferrari's problems were not individual performance issues but rather deeply structural and inherent to the car's design. The SF25 was simply not performing. From the very first practice sessions, Hamilton's radio communications were filled with alarming reports. He consistently described a profound loss of rear stability, a sensation of the car being on a knife edge, culminating in a violent snap in the treacherous final sector. This wasn't minor twitchiness, it was the car actively trying to break away from him. Post-event analysis, meticulously conducted by both FIA and Ferrari engineers, confirmed these fears. Their findings pointed to a critical mechanical imbalance between the car's floor and its rear suspension. This fundamental flaw was causing unpredictable and sudden drops in downforce, particularly when the car was loaded in high-speed corners. Compounding this structural deficiency was the SF25's chronic inability to generate optimal tyre temperature. The Pirelli compounds, designed for peak performance within a specific thermal window, remained stubbornly cold on the Ferrari. This meant a severe lack of mechanical grip and consequently a profound loss of driver confidence, especially in the early phases of corners where Hamilton was losing a critical half second. His attempts to counteract the car's inherent instability proved futile. Hamilton's choice of a high downforce setup, an understandable attempt to find some semblance of rear stability, ultimately backfired. It merely created excessive drag, slowing the car significantly on the straights, without actually addressing or solving the underlying mechanical issue that continued to plague the chassis. His radio messages throughout qualifying painted a picture of increasing resignation. There was no anger, only a weary acceptance that the car simply wouldn't go faster. He reported reaching his physical limit, pushing the machine as hard as it would allow, only to find it unresponsive. Perhaps most chillingly, he deemed the car dangerous in fast corners, a stark admission from a 7-time world champion. The FIA's subsequent technical analysis corroborated Hamilton's every complaint, with the car's telemetry data showing clear, undeniable anomalies that matched his descriptions of instability and downforce loss. The inescapable conclusion was damning. Ferrari's structural failures and their premature decision to halt the SF25's development had combined to produce a fundamentally uncompetitive and frankly unsafe racing car. The deeper dive into the SF25's performance data, meticulously compiled by Ferrari and the FIA, painted an even grimmer picture of the car's fundamental flaws, detailing why Lewis Hamilton's Qatar weekend spiraled into an unprecedented disaster. The first and most pervasive issue was the SF25's inherent instability, a characteristic that plagued Hamilton from the first practice session. The car reacted unpredictably to every steering input, its rear axle feeling perpetually loose, as if the entire machine was spinning around an uncontrollable, shifting pivot point. This translated into an alarming loss of reference in medium-speed corners, forcing Hamilton into a reactive rather than proactive driving style, chasing the car instead of guiding it. The telemetry data starkly confirmed this inability to generate consistent momentum, a critical deficiency that rendered the SF25 utterly incapable of competing even within the tight mid-pack. Beyond instability, a second critical problem emerged: the SF25's catastrophic failure to generate optimal tyre temperature, especially in the first sector. Hamilton's tyres consistently remained outside their narrow operational window, effectively eliminating the mechanical grip essential for sharp, precise front-end turn-in. The car would exhibit an initial frustrating understeer, then snap into sudden, terrifying oversteer as its compromised rear stability was lost. This constant battle for temperature and grip utterly eroded Hamilton's confidence, preventing him from attacking the lap with any conviction, while his rivals effortlessly brought their tyres up to temperature and found immediate purchase. The half-second lost in those early corners wasn't just a deficit, it was a psychological blow, lap after lap. The third, and perhaps most insidious problem, was the structural mechanical imbalance between the SF25's floor and its rear suspension. This was the root cause of the irregular, unpredictable downforce drops identified by both the FIA and Ferrari engineers. What made this flaw so dangerous was the absence of warning for the driver. When rear load was unexpectedly lost, Hamilton had to react instantly, often to an already irreversible situation. His radio descriptions of violent snaps in the final sector, articulating a feeling of the rear being utterly disconnected, were not exaggerations. Aerodynamic data corroborated these claims with chilling precision, revealing sudden, drastic load variations that completely eliminated stability during high-speed transitions, turning predictable corners into treacherous gambles. This desperate situation led to the fourth problem, Hamilton's counterproductive high downforce setup choice. In a valiant but futile attempt to stabilize the SF25's notoriously unstable rear, he opted for maximum aerodynamic load. However, this choice did not correct the underlying mechanical imbalance that was the true culprit. Instead, it merely created additional drag, significantly slowing the car on the straights, while doing little to alleviate the inherent instability in medium-speed corners. The SF25 was compromised across all aspects of the lap. It couldn't gain stability, nor recover lost time through straight-line speed. It was a no-win scenario, a desperate measure that only compounded the car's deficiencies. Finally, a comparison with Charles Leclerc's performance in Qatar underscored the SF25's profound structural uncompetitiveness. While Leclerc managed to scrape into Q3, his 10th place finish, over a second behind the pole sitter, painted a stark picture of the car's absolute limits. His 0.3 second advantage over Hamilton in Q1, though seemingly significant, stemmed from a slightly more stable rear balance on his car, a marginal gain that still left him miles off the pace of front runners. This comparison unequivocally demonstrated Hamilton was not underperforming. Rather, he grappled with a machine operating significantly, perhaps catastrophically, outside its operational window, a car that simply refused to cooperate with even the most skilled hands. The data from Qatar was a damning indictment of the SF25's design, not its drivers. Ferrari's most significant miscalculation, the sixth critical problem uncovered by the FIA's deep dive, lay not within the car's immediate mechanics, but in a strategic decision made months prior. The Scuderia had, with perplexing confidence, halted significant development on the SF25 before the summer break, redirecting precious resources towards the following year's challenger. There was a dangerously optimistic belief that the SF25's current performance was sufficient. Qatar, however, brutally exposed the full devastating cost of this gamble. While rival teams relentlessly pushed the boundaries of their designs, bringing innovative updates, Ferrari remained static, a relic from an earlier phase. The SF25 behaved like a car from a bygone era, utterly incapable of coping with the demanding aerodynamic profiles and high-speed cornering requirements of Lusail. Hamilton, renowned for extracting performance, was now suffering the profound consequences of a strategic choice he had no part in making, one that fundamentally crippled his ability to compete. The psychological toll on Hamilton was palpable, evident in his radio messages. What was striking was not anger, but profound, weary resignation. His tone suggested he had long understood the car's inherent limitations, pushing against an immovable wall. The data corroborated his desperate pleas, particularly his assertion that the car felt dangerous in fast corners, a chilling testament to the complete lack of predictable grip. This wasn't merely about losing lap time, it was about a fundamental compromise to safety and confidence. In these final races, Hamilton was no longer fighting for pole positions or wins, but for something far more fundamental: to gather crucial data, provide unvarnished feedback, and maintain his dignity in the face of a machine that had, through no fault of his own, become utterly unmanageable. His fight was now an internal one, salvaging understanding from chaos. As the Qatar race loomed, the outlook for Hamilton was bleak, a stark reflection of the car's deep-seated issues. Starting near the back of the grid, his options for a meaningful charge through the field were severely limited, almost non-existent. The SF25's propensity for overheating in close traffic, coupled with its instantaneous loss of grip in fast corners, painted a grim picture. Overtaking would be an arduous, high-risk endeavour, each move fraught with potential disaster. Scoring any championship points, a routine expectation for Hamilton, seemed virtually impossible under normal race conditions. His only realistic hope lay in the unpredictable chaos of multiple safety cars, red flags, or rival retirements, external factors entirely beyond his control. This wasn't a race to win, it was a desperate exercise in damage limitation, a testament to how far Ferrari had fallen. In conclusion, the Qatar Grand Prix weekend served as a brutal, undeniable indictment of Ferrari's current state. It reinforced the fact that Lewis Hamilton remains an exceptional world-class driver, his talent undiminished by the circumstances. Yet, the SF25, a car designed to carry the hopes of a legendary team, had quite literally collapsed under him, its structural integrity and competitive spirit utterly fractured. This was not a weekend for heroics or glory. It was, for Hamilton, a mission of sheer survival, a desperate attempt to bring a compromised machine home in one piece, to glean any remaining insight from its erratic behaviour. The crisis laid bare in Qatar was not an isolated incident, but a profound symptom of deeper, systemic issues plaguing the Scuderia. It highlighted the devastating consequences of long-term structural flaws in the car's design philosophy, combined with strategic misjudgments that had starved the SF25 of essential development. This potent cocktail of errors had produced an uncompetitive, unpredictable, and ultimately unsafe racing car. The FIA's data, stark and unforgiving, painted a clear picture. Ferrari's problems were fundamental, extending far beyond a single race weekend. They represented a critical juncture for the team, demanding a radical re-evaluation of their approach, not just for the next season, but for their very identity as a top-tier contender. The echoes of Hamilton's frustrated radio calls, the data anomalies, and the car's complete lack of pace all converged to tell a singular, disheartening story of a once dominant force